There are so many things that needs to get done in order to get going on Etsy. All that really just means is that we gotta prioritize. So in today's video, I'll go with the 5 steps that I would do in order to get consistent sales on Etsy as a new seller. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Andreas and I've done over $1 million in revenue on Etsy as a print-on-demand seller from Sweden. Alright, so step 1, and that is to get a sole proprietorship or an LLC. So there are so many things that just needs to get done, but before we even start, in my opinion, I really think it's important to have the infrastructure to actually have a thriving business. And that is to either have a sole proprietorship or an LLC, or the equivalent of it in the countries that you live in. I live in Sweden, so I have the equivalent of it in Sweden. And the reason for this is that once you exceed certain thresholds of revenue in lots of countries, you need to have a business in order to continue. And just to ease off the overwhelm that you get in the beginning when things just needs to get done, I think it's better to just have it from the get. Now, what's important to know between these two is that if you have an LLC, you get more tax benefits, which is very apparent once you reach certain thresholds in profit each year. Apart from that, the other main thing that you need to know when it comes to LLCs is that it's on a whole different entity apart from you. So you have the LLC and here's you. Whereas with a sole proprietorship, for instance, you are one and the same thing. The sole proprietorship is basically you as an individual. And what's also important to know here is that it definitely costs more to have a sole proprietorship in taxes once you reach certain profit brackets each year. At least that's how it is in Sweden. But the main thing to know between these two is that a sole proprietorship doesn't cost anything to start. There's a lot less admin work, so it's basically easier to maintain, easier to start, but it costs more once you reach certain thresholds of profit each year. Whereas an LLC costs more to start and it costs more to maintain because it requires more admin work, but it definitely saves you more on taxes once you actually reach certain profit numbers each year. So basically more profit, an LLC is better, and less profit, and if you're a rookie, a sole proprietorship is easier. I had a sole proprietorship in the beginning because it's so much easier, in my opinion, so much less low risk. Yeah, so basically, if you have a sole proprietorship like I had in the beginning, I think that's the best way to go about it, since it's so much easier to maintain and just so much easier to start. And I've recently started an LLC here in Sweden, the equivalent of it here in Sweden, and I did that once I hit certain revenue brackets. But the most important thing is to just get one of these infrastructures, one of these businesses basically registered before you even start, so you have it from the get. Now, let's say that you basically have a business, either a sole proprietorship and an LLC. The next step is to open our shops, and once we have that, now we get to the actual meat and potatoes of the whole thing, and that is research. So research is one of the absolute main reasons to actually get going on Etsy, and in my opinion, any platform, because it's the basis of actually knowing what sells, how to sell, and how to add value to the marketplace. So the first thing that we gotta do is to know what to even sell on the platform. And I like to base all of my decisions off of data, not any personal subjective opinions. So what's great about Printify these days is that once you hit 20 monthly orders, I think, you get access to what they call Printify Insights here. And I don't have it since this is my test account. On this account, I have it on my main account, so I've taken out a PDF here. And with the Printify Insight, you can basically see what sells the best on Printify overall, which is huge. And this is current data. So what we can basically see here is that the Gildan 18,000 sweatshirt is the 4th most best-selling product in Printify overall, which is huge. So since we're now in the colder months of the year, we'll actually focus on this one for the video, since we now know what product to sell using Printify Insights. Yeah, so if you want to use Printify, I have a link for that in the description down below. But anyhow, we now know what to sell, and now we gotta find 5 to 10 shops that we actually want to be like. So if we had the sales that they have, then we would basically feel happy. So if we just search for instance, sweatshirt here, whoops, daisy sweatshirt. Now I do some filters changes here. I live in Sweden, which means that this will autocorrect usually to Sweden. Now it's the US, but usually autocorrect to Sweden. So I gotta make sure that this says ship to United States. Then I apply the physical items filter, the star seller filter, and then I go to the search bar here, swap out star for best to only get the best sellers for the given keyword. Now this is a huge keyword. We'll get a lot of different types of hits for this. So The thinking here is to just look through these. The easiest way to go about this is just to look at the review count here. Like this one has 14,000, 21,000 reviews, 12,000 reviews, 25,000 reviews. We want to get one of these huge shops that has done a lot of sales in like a small time. So I got a lot of inspiration from this process from Stephen Chin from Hello Custom. Definitely go check out his channel if you can. A lot of value packed content in that channel. But you basically take shops that have been successful within the last 3 years, not any longer than that. So if I, for instance, go into a huge shop here, let's take this one, for instance. We go into this shop here. And then with our trusty Everbee here, I have a link for Everbee down in the description down below as well if you want to use that. But just click Analyze Shop and then click Analyze All Listings. And then you just click Export. What this basically does here is that it just sends us an email of their backend data, like projections of their backend data into our email. And then we get a CSV file with that. If we do this for 5 to 10 shops, like I've done here, if we do that for like 5 to 10 shops, we can then add them all into a Google Sheets file. Like 5 to 10 shops are added into this one single sheet. And then we can just add a filter by pressing Command A and Command A again. If you're on a Windows, it's Control A and then Control A again. Then you press Data, and then here it should say Add Filter. Since I've already added it, it says Remove Filter. But you add that, and then you go to Estimated Total Sales, Sort by Z to A. What this does is that it takes the estimated total sales for all listings and sort them by most to low, like from highest to lowest. What this basically gives us is a cheat sheet for like the most popular listings in each of these stores. And then we can just go through these and see where we can add value. So the first step is to just download the data here, like we do here, and them all into one Excel file. Now, the third step is to actually combine elements to add value to the marketplace. And so I've taken out a couple listings here, and I'll also add in some juicy ones I found here. So we want to basically combine elements in different ways to create something new. But the first thing that we actually got to do is to find which type of graphics and which types of fonts are like common denominators within these top selling listings. So first off, we just make a list here that just says best selling elements. These are outtakes from the list that I have, that I've already made. So let's see here. One thing that I'm really seeing here is that, like I've said this in a lot of my videos, but the cursive font in different types of ways is just super popular, because you can see a cursive font here, you can see a cursive font here, and just PS, this one is obviously trademarked since it's a Disney ripoff. So never do anything like this. This will most likely get your whole store taken down. You don't mess with the mouse. And let's see here. We have cursive element here. So we can see that the cursive element is super popular. Another common denominator that I'm finding within these listings is that like this is a cursive but kind of a block font. This is kind of another type of block font with a different like inside of it. This is a monogram but still block font. It's a blocked version of a cursive font. So just like fat fonts, so to speak. This is also kind of a block font. So I just write block/fat font. One thing that I've talked a lot about on my channel this year is that the cursive font has done super well. So since I just searched for sweatshirt and I filtered this for the bestsellers, the first thing that pops up is a college font. Remember, like if I just go into this shirt, for instance, this is a bestseller since all of these on this page are bestsellers. So this is a college font, 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 college font. Like there's just so many college fonts that's been super popular this year, college font too. So we'll just write up college font as well, since we could just see that so blatantly when we just do some simple research. So normally we like to have more elements to choose from, but we'll start off here just for the video's sake, so it won't be super long. Let's add some value here. And one niche that is super popular, like every year that I've been on Etsy, is this one, the monogram one. So let's just search for custom name shirt, this keyword here. Let's just take this one. The question we want to have now here is how can we add value to this specific niche? First off, I gotta apply the filters. So we only see the best sellers. How can we add value to this specific niche here? Like this is a cursive font, which is really good. Okay, so one thing that we're not seeing is this, like this type of listing, the monogram one, for instance, like this, or like this. We don't see any with the college font. So what we can do here is that we just go to Creative Fabrica. Again, if you want to use Creative Fabrica, I have a link in the description for that too, if you want to use that. But this is where I always get all my fonts and all my graphics. It's my trusty little library. So we want to see monogram letters is what we want today. Let's see here. Let's remove some of this. Okay. We want either a block font or a college font, since those are the ones that we actually gonna focus on. So let's search for college monogram letters. Yes, this is what I'm looking for. Let's do maybe something like this. And we have a commercial and a full POD users license with this, which is really important to have. So that's great. Now we need a college font. So let's search for college font. I've downloaded this previously. So let's sort this by fonts. So I won't download it now, but let's use this second pointed one. This one is perfect. Now we go to Canva. We create a new design. They recently changed their whole user interface, so it looks a bit different. So we do it like this. I always do 4500 by 5400 for my designs. And then we go to the monogram ones here. Let's use the SVG. So these are basically names. So personalized with a name. So let's just, for instance, let's do like they did here. So B, I always want to use another type of background here, just so we can see how it actually looks on both black and white. Because if I make this white, then it would look completely like you wouldn't be able to see it. Another important thing when it comes to whites, I really recommend using off whites instead of the most white you can, which is this one, the FFF. I usually recommend to do F5, 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 or FE, 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 I think it was, yeah. They have a little bit more of a gray tint, really subtle ones. But what this does is that it actually gives us, on darker garments, they have to actually make an underbase for the print and then put the color on top of it, which makes it clearer basically on the garment itself. With just this one, the FFFFF, like the most white one, they don't use an underbase, which can make the print look a little more faded. So highly recommend to use off-whites when you're printing on darker garments. Okay, so let's use this one. And then I already have the second pointed one, so I won't download it. But this one also has a commercial usage license, which is really important. I add a text element by pressing T. And then I search for second pointed. And then we just write Benjamin like this. Let's also make this white. So same type of off-white on both of these is important. And now we want to spice it up by making a Christmas version of it. So let's just add let's see here. Let's do it like this. Let's search again here. We have to apply the filters, the best, like the star seller, and then the physical items. Make sure it is shipped to the US, since that is our target market. A lot of them have the Christmas hat, the Santa hat, so we'll add that too. But none of them actually have, because if you remember from previously in the video, the Christmas lights is really popular for the most likely two ones. So what we can do here is actually add some Christmas lights instead, since that is another best selling elements within the Christmas niche. So let's take this one, it looks great. Commercial usage and full POD license. Let's take this and let's use this one, for instance. Something like that maybe, or we can just take it maybe down here. Let's add this one too. Let's see if that looks good. It's a bit small. Let's add this one too. Let's see if this works. Oh, I have a better idea. Let's do it like this instead. Let's do it right under the name instead, under the line here. Something like this. Yeah. We could either take this all the way from this end to this end. Either like this or maybe like this, depending on personal taste maybe. Let's do it like this, I think. Yeah, one important thing when it comes to design overall that I've learned is that the clearer it is, the better it is. This would be our first monogram design basically. It was all based basically on our research. But now we basically go to step 4, which is the offer itself. And one really big important thing about that is the mockups that you use. So we want to focus on sweatshirts, which we talked about initially, since that is one of the top selling products to sell on Printify overall. Because one of the most important variables to actually sell on Etsy is to like properly show it in search. How consumers just use the platform itself is that they just go through the main first page here, and based off of this, they then click and then buy. But one of the major variables to actually like get going on Etsy is to get clicks here when they scroll down the first page. Like all of these shirts here, people like take pictures of these sweatshirts and then you take your design and put that on top of the picture itself to give like a vibe of how it will look like in real life. That's what mockups are. But we gotta find common denominators within the top selling listings to see which mockups to actually use. This also has to be based off of data. And one thing that I saw directly with these previous ones was that this one has the green one. This one has the sand one. This one is the green one. This one is the green one. Remember, these are some of the top selling listings in these shops. This one is also the green one. So the green, the military green, Gildan 18,000 shirts is super popular because you can also see that here. Military green, military green, military green, military green, military green. And it's mainly like this type of like folded one that does really well. So for the mockup, we gotta find that one. So Gildan 18,000, and then it's the military green mockup. Let's see, and it's right here from Blissful Mocks. So this one is the one that we would buy. And now we go into the part where we actually talk about the offer. In the beginning, there's so much things that can be done. In the beginning, we just gotta get going. It's so important because it's so easy to just get hold up in the process and to just basically plan too much. So what I like to do and how I approached it in the beginning, if I started now, is that I would have a main mockup, which would be this one. I would purchase a size chart next. And after that, I would basically use a guarantee. These 3 pictures would like be how to start off. So if we just search for Gildan 18,000 size charts, we can buy this one, for instance, and just use that. And then we gotta use a guarantee. A guarantee is such a huge thing in a shop when you have, especially when you have no sales, because it offsets a lot of the risk from the customer and puts it back on us, the sellers. And a guarantee can just say that if anything happens for any reason, you can contact us within like 7 to 14 days, and we'd be happy to give you a refund or replacement, something like that. But one thing that I like to do as well, when we are actually displaying the guarantee, is to not just have text, but to basically display it next to a shirt as well. Another popular mockup this year has been like the sand one that I showed you here. and you can also see it here. So let's search for Gildan 18,000 sand mockup. This one specifically has been super popular, so we can use that. But basically you would put the design on this one too. So basically, to show how to do that, what I would do is I add a, let's see here. Let's keep this one. Let's add a new design. I usually do square ones here. So 3000 by 3000. And then we take the markup that we found. So this one, push. And then for instance, let's take our design here. Let's add let's use a transparent PNG. Let's download it with that. You need Canva Pro for that, just so you know. Then I think we have to, for sand, I think it's important to use black. So let's use this in black. And here we have our design. Like this would obviously be a boy's, like either a girl's name would be more preferable with this, for instance, of course. But basically, this would be a monogram shirt. This would be how this could be displayed in the listing for the guarantee. And how I usually want to do it is that you can basically take this part here. Let's just add an element and let's do it like this. Shoof. You could either do it like this. You could also make the this one like this too. And you can like do it like this if you want to. Have text here, and then you can add the guarantee here basically and display the text that I just mentioned. Here goes the text. So either like this, for instance, or like this, depending on which you prefer. Whoopsie daisy. So like this or like this. And there you go. And this is how you would display the text for the guarantee within the listing. Except for the size chart, this would be like the guarantee and how you would display it. Like, obviously it needs to be touched up a bit more to look professional, but this would be the general outline on how to do it. Okay, so now we know what to sell. Based on our research, we came up with a great design so we can add value to the marketplace. We also knew how to frame a great offer and which mockups to actually use, so we can put that up on top of Etsy. But now the final thing, when we actually need to list it on Etsy, we need a strategy for launch. What I always want to do is that I want to use a break-even strategy. So when we list something on Etsy and we don't have any reviews, it's really hard to get sales since there's no like proof that the customer will get what they purchase. One of the biggest levers that you can use to actually get sales on Etsy is to list it at a lower price. The print providers that I almost always use is either USPTO or Monster Digital. So let's just count it on Monster Digital. A Printify premium price is a no-brainer in my opinion because the margins are insane in comparison and it's really hard to make sales without the Printify premium price if you're serious about doing POD. So the cost for the sweatshirt is 13.91 plus shipping, don't forget that. That is $8.49. So the cost is $22.4. Now, I want to list this with a $2 to $4 margin. So we basically break even. We need some buffer for like mistakes and stuff like that. So let's just do it like this one, maybe at 28, a bit low. And this one is perfect, $29 to start off. So I would list this at $29, for instance, once it's just new on Etsy. This is also like the Allura Etsy calculator. This is a free thing that you can just use. I'll link that down below. It's a great way to just calculate profit. I would list it at $29 in the beginning. And once the listing itself has sold either 10 to 15 sales or gained a 50% visibility score here on Everbee. So this one here, for instance, if this basically says 50% or more, then I would bump it up to profit pricing. So the pricing that should actually make a good profit. I'm not sure exactly how this works, but either it's you got 10 to 15 sales or the listing has a 50% visibility score here, then you bump it up to profit pricing. When I talk about profit pricing, I mean a 30 to 40% profit. So maybe like $38. Yeah, $38 or $39, depending on which you would choose. But this is a great profit to have since it's over $10. So that's one out of the two that I would use to launch my listings. The other thing is that I would use Etsy ads. So I would just toggle Etsy ads on since it's just a toggle on. And once it has spent $10, if it hasn't met my break-even ROAS, then I would turn it off. For this video, I won't go into the nitty-gritty of Etsy ads. You can watch more about that here. But basically, if it hasn't hit my target ROAS after I've spent $10 on the specific listing that I'm launching, then I just turn it off and go to the next. But yeah, this would basically be my whole process in my first 3 months as an Etsy seller. But in the end, everything just hangs on the design that you've made, which is why it's so important to just base everything out of research. And if you want to learn more about the design process, then I suggest watching this video right here. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.